Family life. What is your family life like today? Are you married? Do you have children? What was it like for you growing up in your own family, with your parents, with your siblings, if you have them? That is what we're talking about today on our 26th show, our Families Grow Together show, where we talk about everything and nothing. So, hi there, welcome, Nelly.
Hi, Aqua. Hi, everyone. I am Nelly Kwasunwi, a transformational life coach and a social worker. Welcome to our show today. We're talking about challenges that we faced as young girls and comparing that to what young girls today face. So join us, put your comment in the comments, and we'll talk about it. Or if you have any question, put the question as well. So over to Aqua.
Hello again, it's Aqua here. I am an early years practitioner and a parent coach, so to speak. Support children with speech and language delay. And as Nelly has said, we are talking today about our experiences growing up as young girls in Cameroon and some of the challenges that we faced. So the past couple of weeks, we have talked about schooling, what were the challenges that we faced as young girls in school. Last week we talked about social interaction, what friends we made, how we made friends, whether we were still in contact with those friends and things like that. So today, the final session about our challenges growing up, we're talking about the family, the most important part of it all. That is where it all begins, and that is where it will all end, in the family. The family is the unit, the basic unit of the society. And as such, it is an important aspect of discussion in the community, in the world at large. And obviously, our show is called Families Grow Together Show, and we want to grow together as a family, as a community, hand in hand. So I'm going to ask Nelly some questions. We're just going to talk generally. We're not here to be philosophers. We're here to just talk about what we know about family life, and let's get on with it. So Nelly, what type of family did you grow up in? Was it a monogamous family? Was it a polygamous family? Or what was it like?
Okay, thank you for that. I grew up in a monogamous family, and I lived with my mother and my father, and I had two siblings, my elder brother, Sami, and my younger sister, Mabi. So I was the middle of three children. I don't know if you want me to go more, or I don't know.
That's fine, that's good enough. Right, okay, so I lived with my parents. We had a nuclear family as well, mother, father, and siblings, but we never were ever just us in our family. I don't know whether it was the same like you. I've got two brothers and two sisters. And I am the middle child as well. I am second and third in the same vein. My elder brother and sister are twins, and then I come behind them, and then I've got a little brother and a little sister. So I'm in the middle of five kids. And we never, ever were on our own with our parents. So I'm not sure if it was the same for you, Nelly.
For me, my parents we felt like we had them all along. I mean, both of my parents were civil servants, so they were at work. My dad was a teacher, and he went to work, to school, but it was not every day. But he was a very busy person because he had other things doing, but they were mostly around, though we had house helps that took care of us, but our parents were always there. So they were actively present in our lives.
Okay, thank you very much. That was the same with us. When I was talking about parents being there, or not, whether it were just you and your parents, I was talking about whether you had cousins living in the house, sisters from the village, sisters living in your house, in addition to house help, because like you, both my parents were teachers, and they work in government schools. And as such, they were out of the house with us to go to school, but there was always somebody in the house to cook food, clean the house, stuff like that. But it was never only us and house help. It was my cousins, my aunties, grandmas. At one point we had like 13 of us living in the same household. And obviously, like I said, we're just 5 kids and 2 parents. So where did the other people come from? So I wonder whether you had the same experience.
Yeah, that one, it was normal for us. So we were just 3 children and our parents, but we were never, I think the minimum that we could be in the house was like 8. Sometimes we could be as many as 15 in the house because we had our cousins, but we didn't know, or we didn't consider our cousins to be cousins. We considered them to be our sisters and our brothers. But it was a shocking, I don't know if it's shocking revelation or shocking word, but shocking experience when, like, I remember the first time I was introduced as, that is my cousin. I was like, who are they talking about? And I turned, I was the only one there. And I was like, it took me quite some time for me to come to terms that my sister that I considered, we lived together for so many years, introduced me as a cousin. And I mean, it was something that I was already, it's not too long ago. I started taking it in, that cousin, because to me, for so many years, we knew each other as sister, brother, because we had cousins from maternal side and paternal side. We called everyone, this is my brother, this is my sister, and we just got along, but obviously things changed. And we were, like I said, I was introduced as a cousin, and it came to me as a shock, as a surprise, but actually that is it. So yes, we were always many at home besides my siblings, parents, and house help. We were always with some other person.
Okay, thank you for that. So my next question will be, as a family unit, as with the extended family in there, was it more of your mom's side who were in the family, cousins, were they more from your mother's side or from your father's side? Which cousins were you closer to the most, which ones were you more friendly or related to? Which ones were closer to you? That's the word that I want to use. Which ones were closer?
I would say initially it was my mom, but then later on my dad, but then it went back again to my mom. So it was the dynamics was changing. The dynamics was changing. But like my mom, because she was the one who managed the house, she made some decisions as far as we knew that she was the one deciding, because she was the one who was very strict and things like that. I don't know how they were managing their communication, but we thought that she was the one who was making a lot of the decisions. But the cousins were coming from both sides, but some of them were not as smooth as some others, so it kept changing.
Okay, fair enough. Right. So for us, I would say that I was closer to my mom's family than my father's family growing up, because I knew up to my second cousins in my mother's side because she was close to her cousins as well, and they had family meetings. And as such, you get used to the people who are brought in contact, you're brought in contact with. Obviously, growing up, a couple of my cousins from my father's side came and lived with us, but most often than not, we interacted more with my mom's family because, for one, my grandparents on my mom's side lived not too far from us in Cow Street. You know where Cow Street is.
Mm.
And my mom, they were polygamous family. My granddad had 4 wives. And so obviously there are many more grandchildren to interact with or great grands. And then our second cousins didn't live very far. And I'm sure you probably know some of my second cousins, Charity, Chungong, and Safira, those people. They are my cousins. So they're my second cousins, my mom's cousins' children. And so I had all these plenty cousins, similar age as me on my mom's side. So we were we had so many things to play and interact with. Even though they were not actually living, some of them didn't live in our house, but we visited each other and we interacted more. Whereas on my father's side, my very first cousins, they were the ones I knew. One of my father's brothers lived in Boya, and the first time I saw his children was when I went to the University of Boya. That was the first time I saw his children. And today, we're not even in contact with each other because we didn't have that bond together. Whereas I am still in contact with some of my second cousins on my mother's side. And that is not out of choice that I prefer them. That's just that we do not have the relationship in the same way with my cousins on my father's side. And my father was one of those people who wanted his children to stay at home. To go on holiday was a big deal in our house. He'll prefer you to stay there. Whether you're doing anything or not, he's staying in the house. So that's how my father was. So we only knew all these extra people because my mother was pulling them in. Left to my father, it would have just been him, his wife, and his children, and maybe house help. And that would have been it. So did you have any more experience like that with your cousins? And
yeah, I had cousins, and like for now, I'm very, very close to my maternal cousins, first cousins and second cousins. And I'm still in contact with my paternal cousins, but they are not as, I don't know if it's because of the number, I don't know, because the last head count that my grandpa did when he was still alive, this is like so many years ago. I don't know the head count now. My granddad had, my maternal grandfather had 52 grandchildren as of that time. So that's getting to like 20 years. Some have died, some have given birth. So I think that's something I will ask. So we do head count, because my maternal grandparents had 11 children. And then that's why the grandchildren were so many. That's us. We are the grandchildren. And then there are great-grandchildren and great-great-grandchildren. So now I don't know how many. So yes, I think because the number of children on my maternal side were so many, probably that's why. But I am more in contact with them because there are so many of us. And on my paternal side, my dad were 5 of them in their family, or not in their family, parents, and my dad was the first. But there are not as many as my maternal side.
okay, that's great. So now we've established that we had this nuclear extended family. Let's talk about growing up. First thing I'm gonna ask is, were all your basic needs met?
That is a resounding yes. I was fortunate. I was blessed, not fortunate.
Mm-hmm. So when we talk about basic needs, we're not talking only just food, shelter. We're talking about love and care. So were they all met?
Yeah, all my basic needs were met. And one of the things that till now keeps me going is that I felt that I had a voice because my parents always asked for my opinion, even if they didn't take it into consideration, but asked me. And that made me to feel that I was valued since from a very young age.
That's very good. As for me, all my basic needs were met, as in food, shelter, love. But at some point as a teenager, I didn't feel like my father loved me. Like I was a bit rebellious. I don't know, when you do something wrong, it's just like, talk to the hand. He gave me the silent treatment and sometimes. And as such, as a young girl, I developed also that independent streak in me. Like, I don't care. I don't care. You people can keep all what you have. I don't really care about anything. So I had already developed that kind of attitude and behavior in me. So I was quite independent. I did my things the way I wanted. Not because I was not overtly stubborn, so to speak, but covertly. So I did what I had to do. But if it meant that I didn't talk to you while doing it, I would stay without talking to you while doing it. Just do the bare minimum conversation and the bare minimum communication and do what I needed to do. So yes, so at the teenage high school years, I thought, that doesn't love me. He's not giving me what I'm asking for. He's doing more for my brother than he's doing for me. If I come for weekend, you're like, who said I should come for weekend? I didn't tell you to come this weekend. Whereas if my brother came, you just give him what he wanted. That was my perception when I was growing up. But he did pay the school fees. He did provide as should be with my mom. So anyhow, that was that.
Yeah, I think, anyway, let me not go there. So yeah, for me, just to add to that, I felt that my parents gave us the options, not options, they gave us the opportunity to express ourselves. And because I was very, very, very quiet, sometimes in a day, I wouldn't speak, not because anything was disturbing me. It's just that because I was painfully quiet, it took me a lot of effort to speak. But I could do anything that you asked me. I would do it, and especially play. I could play 24 hours if I was allowed to. But to speak, it took a lot of effort. But what I used to do is I would observe people, observe things, and then I'll have those conversations in my head. But to open my mouth and speak, I didn't want want to. I was the point I'm driving at is that I was heady in a quiet way.
But like
because if you tell me something to do and I didn't want to do it, I will not oppose you. I'll just go and do what I want to do. And then if you come and discover that I've not done what you want, I don't give you any explanation because it's a lot of effort to speak and explain myself. So I was really quiet, but I did what I wanted to do because sometimes I consider the consequences if there were consequences.
Okay, that's good. So yes, so were you compliant? I asked this question because it came when, for example, when I was going to go to secondary school, I passed the interview to go to GBHS and to PSS. And my dad said, oh, he doesn't have money to send me to PSS. And so that annoyed me. but there was nothing I could do about it. So I had to go to GBHS. So when it comes to things like that, did you always get your first choice of things that you wanted, or did you have to succumb to what your parents could offer?
I think it's both way. The first one, like when I finished primary school to go to high school, my dad gave me that option. Or he gave it like an option, but I don't think I had any say in it because it was years after that I asked him why he decided to put me and my siblings in the schools that he did. He said he didn't want to put us all in a grammar, in general education. So my older brother was in general education. I went to commercial, and my sister went to technical. So it was afterwards. But I was excited because I knew I was going to high school or college, the way we call it back in Cameroon, in Bamenda, which is in town, because we were living in Camden, the village. So just the fact that I was going to town to school there, I was excited because some years back, my first time to go to Bamenda was when they were opening, I cannot forget, when they were opening the, I think it's Bamboo or the Bambili Agro, there was Agro Pastoral Show.
I was in,
Long time
it
ago.
was in my drink when.
Yes, my
Big show.
So we went there, and I remember that was the first time ever I tasted cheese. So all those memories, I was excited that yes, I was going to start. And my maternal grandparents lived in Bamenda, and because my maternal grandparents lived in Bamenda, most of my maternal cousins were there. So I was so excited. However, the other side of it is, because I was doing commercial, I finished Form 4. And after Form 4, we go to high school, but here is college. So I had made arrangements with my friends. I will go to Bambili, I think it's Bambili or Bambui, a commercial high school in, I think Bambui, that will go there. We had already made arrangements. I went on holiday, and just a few weeks to school reopening, my dad was not saying anything. And I was thinking, why is he not saying anything? And it was at that time, my older brother tormented me. What he did was, we had a neighbor who was the principal of a new school, St. Rita's at that time. And St. Rita's was up to Form 2 because it was just a new school. So each time my brother saw my dad speaking with that principal, he will come and call for me and say, you see, my dad is arranging with the principal that I go to Form 2. And I was like, how can I have finished Form 4 and I want to be demoted to Form 2? But each time he was doing that, and he knew that when he did that and asked me for anything, I'll just give him.
How? You know, the logic of kids is amazing because he has no power to control where you would go as to school, and he would torment you like that, and you believed him.
Oh, he was tormenting me because anyway, that one I don't want to go there. That's another story. So he was not. My dad was not saying anything, and I was like, probably what my brother was saying is true. And about a week to school reopening, my dad had still not said anything. And to me now, I had agreed with my brother that, well, this is it. I'll go back to Form 2 2 years back.
Oh.
So when finally my dad called for me and he said, I'm not going back to commercial. I'll go to Form 5 to write the GCE. And I was like, Form 5, I'll write the GCE that year. I've not done any GCE subjects. So how am I going to do it? He said, because he was an economics and geography teacher. So he said he'll teach me those two. He'll look for other teachers like maths and history and literature or whatever. But I was like, I had to do 3 years worth of work for so many subjects within 1 year. But that was the only option I had. So he talked to me about it and then said, go and think over it. Not just thinking about it. I had no options. It was just
he gave you false hope of sense of. Well, good. He was a good teacher. False sense of involvement in decision.
Yeah. So I thought about it. There was just no way at all. And then he had already arranged that my things that are left with my grandparents in Bamenda, that will be brought back to Campbell. So I was like, okay, there was nothing. So then I agreed, and yes, that was the other side. Just thinking about it, I don't know how he convinced me so easily.
And sometimes we didn't really have it's not even sometimes. When decisions were made, you didn't have a choice about it. You were informed most often than asked. You were informed that this is what is happening. So we didn't really have a choice as to decisions about when you're going to school. You do the interviews, you write the exams as should be, but then it comes down to the finances and what your parents think that is the best for you. So that is how decisions were made, top down. This is what you're doing, and this is how you do it. Right. Another aspect of family life that I want to talk about is going to the farm. Parents waking you up at 5 a.m. on the weekend to go to the farm. That was the bane of our lives in our household. Like, you had no choice. You'd be getting up and grumbling, but you had to get up and go to the farm. So for those who are not African or Cameroonian background, what we mean is, growing up, most families have let me call it allotment, but it's usually bigger than an allotment. It's like a hill that they work. You work your staple crops, which were maize, cocoyams, plantains, cassava, sweet potatoes, beans, peanuts. Those were the staples. And then those who were more market-oriented people would grow vegetables. So those perishable crops, they'll grow vegetables that you often go and buy. But most people had farms where they grew their staple crops, and as such, they didn't need to go and buy things like potatoes and stuff like that. They only bought meat and things that they used to make the sauce with which to eat those staple crops. So we all had farms. My parents had farms, many farms. I would like to say many farms. And when you finish school, you either go to the farm on the Saturday or during school holidays. During school holidays, more than Saturdays, because not every Saturday will go to the farm. But during school holidays, you had to go to the farm, especially when it was cultivating season and then harvesting season. In between, you may go to help with the farm, but it's not as much as during the cultivation and the harvesting. And as such, they'll wake you up at 5 o'clock. Sometimes you have to travel kilometers to go to the farm. Sometimes you need a vehicle to go to where you're going, because you didn't only travel like 5-10 miles down the road. You went 25 miles to another village to work there. So it required us to wake up early in the morning and to go to the farm. So Nelly, what was that like for you? Because I did not like it. I'll go to the farm sometimes and I'll just put bags, this what do we call them? This
Okota
bags, whatever that is in English. We put
bags. It's jute bags
on the furrows and just lie down and sleep. Go hide in the bushes and just sleep. So what was it like for you?
Okay, so for me, regarding farming, I had some very, very good experiences with farming. So my parents did more of gardening than farming. My parents, since from I think the age of like 2 or so, I'm sure it's my mom, used to keep chickens. She's always had chickens. And then my first memories of our gardening was we had this massive uh, garden just behind the house, and my parents planted. That one was my dad because he was always in the garden. He planted garden eggs. How do you call it in English? I don't know. Like
Eggplant.
eggplants. Yeah,
Aubergines in modern
yeah,
one.
yeah. It was that. Yeah, the very big ones, the green ones. So that was my first memory. And this eggplant did so well that when we were harvesting, like one harvest will be in one drum, and people used to come and buy from us. So I'll just tell a little story about this eggplant. So one day the harvest was so much, people came and bought wholesale, and then there was still much left over. So I can't remember if it was my mom or my dad. I think more of my mom. She said, me and my younger sister should take it to the squares and sell. That was my first memory of ever selling. And I was like, what are we going to say? And my younger sister, Mommy, was like, let's go. I know what to do. So we carried the basket of eggplant, went to the road. As we saw, I can't remember how much we sold, but as we saw, my sister just said, you know what, let's go and buy some puff puff gâteau. To me, it was not something that I was used to. I was like, okay, go and buy it, but I will not eat. And then we came back. We were not, I'm not sure we were there up to an hour. And I came back and I said, listen, never, ever will I go to sell. So the gardening still continued. Now to the farm. We had been having requests, or my mom's friends had been requesting that we go to their farms, especially during harvest. But whenever my mom considered the distance, she wouldn't let us go. But one day we said we want to go to the farm because my mom asked me and my sister if we wanted to go to the farm. We said, yeah, we were so happy. So someone came, picked us up, not with the car, took us because we had to walk like how many kilometers, I don't know. So we went to this farm. It was not ending as we were going. Anyway, we eventually got there, tired, exhausted, hungry.
Mm.
So just as we got there, maize was because it was harvesting period. They harvested fresh maize, roasted, and we ate. It was nice because they were like taking care of us, and then they gave us a place to rest and things like that. And then when it was like 3 p.m., I'm sure we got there like 11 o'clock. And then it was
You had
3
it easy,
p.m.
girl. You had it easy.
Then 3 p.m., they said, me and my sister had to go back. And we were thinking, that was the first time we ever came there. We
Just the
did
two
not
of
know
you.
the, yeah, because they said they were still there. They were to finish around 5 o'clock. And they would reach the house when it's dark. So that's why they said we should go. They tied, they tied our back with some few maize. We were like, okay. See, that story is
Can
as
I
I'm
ask how
talking,
old you were?
I think I was like, was I in primary school? I think I was not up to 12, I'll say maximum. Yeah, I'll say around 12 maximum. So as we were going, we had this back itch of maize. To me, I would say, just thinking back, it was not big because they knew that that was our first time going to that because my mom explained to them. But the part that we were very scared is that we didn't know the road.
Mm.
And it was in the bushes going. They said, let's just be going. Let's just be going. We cannot get, we should just be going. We'll get to the house. Anyway, it was raining as well. with the bag of
Yeah, of
maize
course.
that we carried on our head. We went. See, the sweetest part was that it was raining and we needed, I was thinking that it was just me doing it, but then when I spoke with my sister, she was also doing it. It was nice just to read, and then it just, the week came out just warmer. Then we got,
Rain falling on you.
yeah, the rain was falling and then the wind was keeping us warm. So we got home around 6 o'clock.
3 hours walk.
Yeah, 3 hours walk. And we got home and we told our mom that never, ever send us to any farm. That was the first and the last. We never went to any farm. I'm just thinking that because for me, farming was positive experience. Probably that's why I really still like gardening now, probably. So that was little experience about gardening.
The
Because
only
even
that
now,
was
my
nice.
parents are still into gardening. They do gardening, and me too, I do gardening.
My mom likes farming.
Mm.
Civil servant. When she worked farm as if her life depends on it. We didn't like it. we had to go, but we didn't like it. Far away farms. No, we didn't like it at all.
Oh, I also remember my grandma who was in Bamenda. We used to go to her and we liked her farm. She had a farm in Tabese. She had one at Two Bridge. She had farms just many different places. I
Yes.
remember the first day, me and my sister were going to the farm with my grandma. We had never crossed a bridge. At that time, it was Two Bridge. Do you know Two Bridge?
I had to bridge
We
now.
saw the bridge, just two logs across the bridge, and we were so scared. My grandma had to carry one child to the other side, came back, carry the other child.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, so that was another experience farming growing up. So it's fun when it was harvesting season because you go and another aspect of farming was they used to make these big mounds, these big ridges with elephant stalks, and then they'll burn it. And then that ash, the crop that came from that mound was better because obviously the ash that was produced from that burning will fertilize the soil and things like that, and it was great. And that is in those, it is in those ancaris that they burnt the cocoyam and the cassava, and then you scrape it and you eat when you're in the farm. Those were some of the good experiences, but going to the farm was not fun. It wasn't fun, not for me. I didn't like it, but I went because I was told to go. So that's another aspect. Let's move on. Oh, the time is going. Life is sweet when we're talking about the Okay, now let's talk about the concept of respect in the family.
Yeah.
Respect in the African family.
Yeah. In my family, respect was very important. Very important. And all of us, even till now, the respect is still there. And like I was telling you before, this, when I hear of respect, I always remember this story. There was an incident that happened between me and my younger sister then. I think like I was like 8 years old or so. So my mom came one day and told my younger sister, and she said, call me. She should call me as sister. My younger sister was so offended. She looked at my mom and said, me, she pointed at me, called me sister.
Let me ask, what was the age gap between you? Okay.
She was like, she will never. She said that to my mom, that she will never. That me, call her sister, call me sister. So yeah, but respect was something that was very, very important. It was instilled in us from I'll say I grew up and I knew that it was important to be respectful.
Right. So it's the same thing with us in our house. Now, we had older cousins who lived with us who were like more than 10 years above us. So we put that respect there. In our culture, we call Ndiga or Ni before you call somebody's name. So it was Ndiga Suzanne or Ndiga B. But with my direct siblings, come and ask me to say Ndiga B, Ndiga Ch. Who are you? I'm not calling you Ndiga. It's just 1.5 years between us. I'm like, me? Never, it's not gonna happen. So I didn't do all those Ndigas either. But for my bigger cousins, obviously, you call them, you put the respect there, aunties and to put the respect there. You can never see a child in Africa calling their parent by name or calling their grandma or any adult in effect. Anybody older than you who is a parent, you will never see a child in Africa calling them by name, unless it is these modern days now, but I doubt it if that has changed. So,
and you know, yeah, finish.
No, so one of the things that I struggled with when I came to this country, especially in church, was to call the pastor by his name. Because in the church here, they call the pastor David, his wife Carol. But to me, it was like, how do you even open your mouth to say that name without putting the respect in front of it? So Pastor David or Mama Pastor, or, calling people by name like that, it was a big struggle. So yeah, so those are some of the things that was difficult. So respect in the household, you respect your parents. When they're talking, you keep quiet. There was nothing like talking back to your parents. Otherwise, you get a sampling or you get into big time trouble. My dad didn't really beat us. I can remember only 3 times that my dad has ever beat me. And it wasn't like massive beating. Once he was disobedient, he picked up, he came to beat us. He was giving 3 strokes. My sister went and showered a thing like that in one hand. And I gave me one and I disappeared. The second time he slapped me on the cheek because I'd gone to the shop when he said, "You're not going to the shop." And then when was the third time? We went to our auntie. I think I told you this one as well. Went to our auntie where he said, "You're not going. You should not go." And he came home before us and he trashed us because we disobeyed. So my dad didn't really beat. It was my mom who beat us a lot more. Obviously, because we spent more time with her. She was yes, she would be the one to see all the disagreements and all the fights and things like that. But respect was categorical. You never. The highest disrespect that you can give your parent is they call you and you do not answer, or you make faces, or you do, but not what we see today. Parents and children in this country just talking to the parents anyhow. To me, that's a foreign concept. But who knows? What was your experience like?
Yeah, what I wanted to add there was that there's so much respect. It gets to the extent where children don't even know their parents' names. They call their parents Papa, Mommy, Mommy, Daddy, and so on. And it ends there, and they don't even know their parents' names because of that too much respect. And not just the parents, even the adults in the house, they call them by these respectable titles and not even knowing their actual names. And yes, like you said something about the way children here respond to their parents. That's something that has never sat well with me when I see. And mostly when I see it, especially in cases that I'm involved with, I always address it. And I think in previous shows, I talked about this same aspect because I was so curious. I couldn't understand why parents feel that they can't keep that, they can't maintain respect even with themselves and their children. And at one time, I asked the parent, I said, how has it come to this level that you are having arguments with your child? And she said, she feels that the system has taken away all their powers because they listen more to the children. And sometimes the children threaten the parents that if you don't give me what they want, they'll go and tell the social worker, if a social worker is involved, or tell their teachers that you have done or frame a story. And obviously, because they listen to the children, they talk of the child's voice, they'll go with the child's story, and then the parents are scared that they'll take the children away from them. And then the children have been using that as their own strategy to get what they want. So some parents feel that the system has taken away their powers and given to the children. So which is why struggle to control the children or to put that respect in place, because if they don't do what the child is doing, the child will start threatening and then they'll just give up.
Yes. So respect is something that even as a society here, people are losing respect even for authorities, including adults. The way adults talk to other adults, they do not show respect to one another, the way they talk to authority figures. Even if you think that you're better than somebody, the minimum you can do is respect that person as a human being. But it's sometimes difficult for people to do that. And I'm not going to defend it, or I'm not going to justify why, or people do what they do, or if they respect or they do not respect. But to be to me is the basic decency. Now, I'm not saying that disrespecting my parents, like when they say do something, yeah, you don't do it. Or they say come back, curfew is 6 o'clock, you come back at 7, 8, 9. That's still disrespect because you've not honored the rules in the house. You've not honored the commitments that, well, the boundaries that have been set for you. So that is disrespect. So disrespect is not only talking back at somebody. Disrespect is not only calling people names. Disrespect is not honoring your word or your side of the bargain that has been said. So we all are fallible. We all made mistakes. So it is something that we try and teach our own children to be respectful. So it's like in my house, if a child bangs the door, it annoys me because I never bang doors. I never saw doors being banged. So when the child bangs the door, I'm like, you do not do that in this house because you have never seen me doing it. And so it shouldn't start. So you don't even own a door in this house. So don't bang something that doesn't belong to you. So I do not take kindly to doors being banged. So it doesn't work with me. Anyway, that aside. So how is respect like in your household in the UK now?
Oh, so for me in my household, my children, myself, we respect each other. I respect I respect everyone regardless of their age. I respect them as a human being. Even my cat, I respect my cat.
Mary, yeah,
Mary is my cat.
on live on Facebook, Mary.
Mary could have been here, but for the fact that I've closed the door, she knows I'm doing the live here. She keeps on scratching the door. That's her way to say that she wants to come in. So yeah, I respect my children and they respect each other. They show that mutual respect for each other. This doesn't cancel the fact that sometimes they have that disagreement,
Of course.
but they have those disagreements, but that aspect of respect at the moment when they have whatever they're having, they might not see it necessary to respect each other. But then when they've calmed down, if it's a matter of going to apologize that I'm sorry for the way I behave, whatever, they go and they settle that out. And they know they respect themselves, they respect each other, they respect others. It's not just us in the house, they respect others as well. Though, like you talked about the calling names, sometimes they just call people by their names because that's how it is in the society. But they make it different when they know that they have like an African male or African female. If it's a female, they put auntie. If it's a male, they put uncle. But if they are not then they just call them the names. But then like their friends just call me by my name. Even some of their friends who are Africans, they just call me by their name. And I'm like, but sometimes my children are so cheeky, they'll just sit and they'll be like, Nelly, because they know that if they call me like that, I'll be like, who is calling me like that? But I know that they call me when they want me to. It's like they want to tickle me to say something, and then they just call me by my name, and I'm like, who is that daring to do what?
Monkey.
Yeah.
Who is being
but respect is very important.
Right. That is the same in my household. And I think growing up, maybe they respect it out of fear, in the sense that they'll get into trouble if they don't do what the parents are telling them to do or what we are telling them to do. Or maybe even now, I don't know. What do you people think, Tony and Mia? Do you respect out of distress, or do you respect because you think that this respect is okay?
Pardon?
You respect your parents because it is right to do, or
disrespect?
Respect? Or do you think that it is by force?
Well, it depends.
Can you hear her?
It depends. Yeah, that's what she said.
Depends on what?
Well,
Setting myself up on live TV.
it depends on how I feel at the moment of time. Well, obviously, I'll do things because you're the parent. And so I'm like, okay, you're the parent, so I guess I'll do it. And I think that there's no ill will towards it. So I'll just do it.
Thank you
And
very
then
much.
sometimes I do it because it's of force to do it.
Because you have to.
Yeah.
Like what? Washing dishes.
No, that's not even, that's one of the things I don't think it's of ill will. I think, okay, I could at least do that. There's times I don't understand, and then I just do it anyways.
Okay.
It's not out of respect, it's
Just because you have to do it. Okay. Thank you for that.
Thank you for that, Mia.
So, like you see, it's not easy. Right. So, anyway, I always tell them to respect one another, because, especially with Tony and Azine, they always fight like cats and dogs. They're always calling each other names. I'm like, if you don't start learning how to treat your sisters right, when you grow up and have girlfriends, you treat them in the same way, because you have to learn respect in the home. And if you do not respect your sisters, you do not respect your brothers, you will not respect your partner in the future, because you think that you become a habit. And you think that it is just okay for you to call people names, or to be disrespectful, or to just do what you want because you can. No, you have to respect people, irrespective of how you're feeling at that moment. So no name calling and things like that. They still call each other's names, but I do my job to give the advice. If you choose to take it, that's up to you. It is your future that your future habits is going to impact on you mostly. Because sometimes our children think that when you're trying to guide them, it is for your benefit. You're already grown. We're grown people. We're grown women. And if you choose not to develop character, it will come back to bite you. The character is not going to come back to bite me. So that is what I try to instill in mine.
Yeah, that's very important.
Right. Ooh, before we finish, let's see what is right. I think we've touched the financial side of things a bit. Right. Let me just ask you: did you have pocket money growing up? If you were not going to school, like what you do, give your children pocket money every week now. Did you have pocket money growing up all the time?
I had, when I was in high school, college, secondary school, because I was in boarding school, I always had pocket allowance. And before going to boarding school, my parents always, they bought me food, they bought me snacks, they bought me things. But because I didn't know how to spend money, and they bought me everything that I needed actually. But because I didn't know how to, I was not used to buying any stuff because my parents used to buy everything. I used to come back home with change. And
Look at my face.
to come back home with change. And then this is where my brother, first time that he noticed, when I came back, he took my side bag, and then he just came to me later and said, I've taken some of our things. And I was like, what does that mean? I didn't even understand because I didn't even know how much I had left, because apart from paying my transport, I just knew there was money in there. So that went on for my whole 4 years in secondary school. Every time I come,
You're just
the
killing
first
me
thing,
now.
he will just take my no, the need for money. I didn't know the need for money because I had everything that I needed, but my parents kept on giving me money. And sometimes, like when I go on outings, my grandparents will give me money that my parents have sent to them, but I'll just take the money and then hide it very well in the dormitory because I used to steal a lot. And then when I go home, I just my brother used to, the first time he noticed is that I went and I took my change and I gave my mom. Because you know, when you do something ignorantly, my brother was there, and at that time, my brother, I mean, he was a teenager at that time, and he knew the use of money, but me, I did not. So the first time, that was from one first term holiday, I came and I took my change and I said, Mommy, this is my change. And I gave it to her. My brother was there. He looked at me, but it was afterwards that he called for me and said, what did you just do? So I gave change to Mommy. And he was like, why didn't you give me? And I was like, what do you want to do with it? Because to me, what did he want to do with money? I didn't know that he would even need any money. So after that, so from second term till for my 4 years, each time I come, he will just take my bag and then take his own share of the money and tell me that he has taken his own his own part.
Wise people eat people. Right. No, that's very good. Growing up, because I went to day school, I didn't have pocket money. That would give you money to buy something during break and things like that. Or my parents would give you money for food during the break, but that was it. They didn't give us pocket money as such. Until I went to high school, when I went to boarding school, and then they'll give you pocket money because you need money while in school, or when you went to university, and then they'll give you money. But apart from that, this weekly income that we give to the children, because I call it income, wasn't a thing in our household. It wasn't a thing. So you were not, if my sisters were not going to boarding school, they would have not have had pocket money. So they only had pocket money because they were going to boarding school and they needed spending money there. But apart from that, all of us who went to day school, there was nothing like pocket money. You eat in the house. What do you need money for? Parents buy you food, clothes, and everything. What else do you need money for? That was the philosophy growing up. But I'm sure there were people in rich families who had pocket money.
You know, I don't know, probably me, I had pocket money, and my sister had pocket money because she went to Bamenda as well. Mm-hmm. I don't know if my brother had pocket money. I don't know because you know about.
You didn't talk
we
about.
Were not questioning at that time about because we didn't know, but I don't know.
I guess it wasn't a concept of like something that we grew up knowing, because the only that anybody had pocket money is if they went to boarding school.
Yeah.
It wasn't a thing that was discussed, even among our friends. It wasn't a thing that was discussed. So I don't think it was anything that people in day schools talked about, because I don't think I've ever had a conversation like that with any of my friends really about pocket money. You know, do your parents give you pocket money, or do they give you spends, as they call it here? So that was financially, that was fine. We were comfortable, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Both my parents were government school teachers. Mm-hmm. Until They slashed government school teacher salary. They slashed government worker salary. That was around, I think I was around from 4, from 5, around that kind of 1990, early 90s. Man, things changed.
I live Andole.
Oh, uproar. Oh my days. Because when we were growing up, when part of our secondary school, my mom went back to school. She went back to higher ecole normal. So we're at home with our dad and house help and extended family. And as such, we used to write the shopping list every Saturday. Give the shopping list to dad we go to the market. What we used to do, we inflated the prices of the shopping. That's how we got our own spare change. You go to, or even if the bucket of cocoyams is 1,000 francs, you say it's 1, 2, and then when you go, you bargain, and then maybe you buy it for 800, and then you have spare change of 400. That is how we got our own pocket money. So that was what we used to do to our dad. So write a shopping list and inflate the prices, and then you give us the money to go to the market, go and buy, and we bargain again, and then we get change from there. So that's how I got pocket money.
Oh, the question that came to mind is, were you born with it?
No, you learn these skills. These skills are acquired.
Life skills.
The skills they're acquired. I need to do more sales and marketing. It's fun. As children, you could easily get things. Even now, children can easily get things from their parents. I was listening to somebody and he said, I think it was John Maxwell or somebody. He said, if you want to learn marketing, just look at kids. I think it's Jim Rohn. Look at kids. 2 minutes, they come to you and you're like, Mom, I want this. You're like, no.
Oh, yeah.
Forget about it. Come back, Mom, I want this. No. Mom, I want this. 20 minutes down the line, they got what they wanted. Persistence. Eh? But it is
sounds like Jim Rohn.
Boss, like, okay, I want the day off. No. And that's it. Like, what? So we need to learn some persistence. So was the financial situation in your household the same all through your growing up, or did it change like mine when the government school work or government workers' salaries were slashed?
I think I only became aware of financial struggles in my household when when I finished high school. I wasn't aware of it because my dad was a teacher, but he was a farmer at the same time. My dad would go to school with his suit, but in the boot of his car, he would have his machete. And when he is driving and he sees any fresh grass, he will just come out, mind the way he's dressed in a suit, just go and cut the grass for his pigs, for his goats. So we were always there was always food at home. So we did not know if there was crisis. I don't know how they managed it, but we were not aware of it because we just knew what we needed, we had.
Yeah, no, for us, the standard changed. Standard changed because my mom was in school and my dad was so we noticed when things changed, when financial things changed. But that notwithstanding, we survived. We didn't only survive, we thrived. They gave us
oh, yes.
And here we are, still thriving in our own little way.
Oh, yeah.
So from what we have, let's drawing this to a close, from what we experienced growing up, do you think the children in this country have similar experiences, or the experiences are different, or they have the same kind of challenges but different setting?
I think it will vary because, like, when we think of poverty here, poverty is relative. Because when we talk of not having here, it's different from back in Cameroon, back in Africa, when we say you don't have. Because the difference in my view is that when it was that there was no food, as opposed to here, there's food, but the children don't want to eat the choice of food that is there. Probably they want KFC, they want takeaway, and they don't want the food that's at home. So to me, it's different. Though again, you look at certain families and they have nothing. They have nothing. Like today, I was talking to someone about refugees who come into the UK and they are on no recourse to public funds. So they don't have any social support, financial support. They don't have any permission to work, and they just leave. So how then do they survive? They don't have food. So that one is abject poverty, because whether you work or you don't work, your stomach wants food. It doesn't know whether you have or you don't have. So I think it would just depend. I mean, it's something that I will not want to generalize it, because it's very, very specific to different families. But I would say it's not the same.
Right. That is so true, especially now with this cost of living crisis. Like you said, poverty is different. Households are different. The respect in the society and in different households are different. The way people parent is different as well. And as such, all these things impact on people's households and their well-being in the households. And we can only talk about ourselves, really, or maybe cases where we've worked with people and seen that they've struggled, or what we've seen on the news with this cost of living crisis at the moment. And as such, we cannot really generalize. But like you said, hunger is hunger. It doesn't matter whether you're in Cameroon or in the UK. If you're hungry, you're hungry. You're cold, you're cold. If you need shelter, you need shelter, irrespective of where you are. One thing I say about the Western society is that it can be quite equitable in a sense that there is a possibility, if you are a citizen of that country, for you to have at least your basic needs met, irrespective of whether you're working or not. Whereas back in Cameroon, there is no such safety net. If you do not have, you do not have. If you have, you have. So if you do not work, you do not eat. Whereas here, you can stay at home and still live better than some people who are working. So for me, it's the difference between growing up in Africa, in Cameroon specifically, because I don't know about other African countries, in Cameroon specifically, where we do not have a social security kind of setting. You work or you die hungry. If you do not have money for medication, you die. If you do not have money to buy clean drinking water, you're gone. Or to pay for tap water to come to your house, whatever. So the difference here is in the different the types of cars you drive, the whatever you kind of house that you rent, how big or small it is, or what you put inside. So that's the main difference in the social living or the type of holiday that you can take. But
I think,
yeah.
I think, you know, when you talk of, I mean, talking from a place of being a social worker, I've seen different kinds of poverty too. So, like you've talked about parents having this, it's not that they don't have the money, they have the money, but then their lifestyle choices, they use the money to probably fund their drug or alcohol habits rather than buying food for children at home. So again, there are different layers, but regardless, you have, like you talked of the safety net, you have food banks, though for food banks, you cannot continuously go to a food bank. Like I remember when I was, when the scheme for the food bank was on, you had to get food for, I think, 4 times within 6 months. And within that time, we had to work on, your budgeting, because you won't keep going to the food bank for all your life. What has caused you not to have food, which is when we work on your budgeting. So you allocate the money. And for some families, they didn't want to because they were scared that they will notice that they are spending money on things that were not basic needs, like they were funding their drug habits, they were spending on alcohol, on cigarettes, rather than buying food for the children.
Or
So,
buying expensive toys.
or, that is, or buying expensive toys, that's true.
Yeah.
So I think we've gone way over.
Mhm. So yeah, that was family life for us growing up in Cameroon. I don't know what yours was like, but if you have any comments to make, please drop them in the comments box and we can continue the discussion down there. And if you want to find out more about what we do, where should they go, Nelly?
Contact us on our website, www.handcommunitycic.com. That is handcommunitycic.com. All our information is there. You might want to send us an email, a text message, or give us a ring, or fill out the contact form. You'll find that information on our website. Thank you so much.
Okay.
And enjoy the rest of your day.
One minute. Just wanted to say that as hand in hand co-founders, we hope that talking about our life experiences have made you to know us a little bit better, and would encourage you to contact us and get involved with what we are doing. And if you have any topic of conversation that you would like us to hold here, or something that you've experienced that you'd like to share with the world, we are open for suggestions. We're open to suggestions, and come join the panel. Thank you.
And we are here for learning and growing purposes, because personal development and promoting family unity is our priority. So if you want to think that you can come here on this our channel to gossip, please don't dare, because we will not accept you. No gossiping here. We are here because we mean business to help people develop themselves. So we are here purely for personal development to promote family unity.
Thank you very much. Have a blessed evening and see you next week.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.